So today, all what I want to do is show everyone my controller configuration for the last days of the Third Age, the Mountain Blade Warband mod. So we're going to load my save game so I can show you guys this. Alright. So, let's quickly just go over the basics. Alright, so pretty basic. Left trigger, it's right mouse, right trigger, left mouse. So attack and block. Your scroll wheel is left button and right button. That also zooms in and out of the map. And then your bumpers are where this starts to get really interesting. Your left bumper is just left control, which is needed to do a lot of the cheats. And I forgot to mention at the beginning, in order to play the last days of the Third Age, you should really have cheats enabled when you first configure the game. It gets pretty frustrating if you can't see where all of your enemies are, because your quests don't really account for you not being able to see the enemies. So it definitely comes handy if you have cheats enabled. Less frustrating, more fun. It is a game. So left bumper is left control, and then select, like all of my Steam controller layouts, does a lot of different things. So just a regular plus is a regular tab, which brings you out of battle when you're in battle, or if you need to retreat, it's the same button. It's tab. And then the double press knocks all your enemies unconscious. So this is if you screw up and you go up against an army that's way too big, or you need to get rid of some large enemies. It's come in handy during sieges when there's just too many enemies. And then the long press heals yourself. And if you do the long press while you're holding the right bumper, you'll heal your horse, which is kind of a nifty little trick that I added in. And this, I'm pretty sure, only works when you're in battle. You know, your horse heals after each battle, but you don't. So make sure you heal yourself after each battle, or at the beginning of each battle, whatever you want. So this touch menu, I have it set up, and I would suggest doing this however you like it. But the activation style, I have it so that it's just touch and release. So you don't have to press any buttons. You just put your finger on the left touchpad there and release it on whichever button, you want to press. So there's a dial pad that'll come up that goes through F1 through, I believe, F9. Let's see here. Yeah, through F9. And if you wanted to add more buttons in here, maybe you don't like how I do my battalion selection. So you might want to put those in here. That's the original layout that I found online. That's the most popular. I'm pretty sure it had that. Um, but I changed it to suit my style. Um, it's more clear, I think. Um, so your analog stick is the same as it always is, WASD. Um, Click in changes your camera when you're in battle from first person to third person. Uh, and here's where it kind of starts to get weird too. So you have Y, and this is something that I'm pretty sure came out of Viking Conquest for Mountain Blade, the ranks and shield wall. And it's included in the last days of the Third Age. And I've found the whole troop um, control a little wonky, and I think I still need to play around with it a bit. But this seems to work pretty well. Um, so if you want to put your troops into ranks, you press Y, shield wall, press K, and then you've got your if you want to kick while you're in battle, you press B there, and jumping or waiting when you're not in battle is A. And you have to remember if you want that to continue to wait, you have to hold it down. It's not toggle, which you can change in there if you would want to. But you have to remember if you don't untoggle it, it's just going to keep hitting space. So if you do anything else, it might not register. Um, so the right trackpad does a kind of neat thing, which we'll get back to once I get through the rest of the layout here. But it's just your regular mouse, and if you click in, it's action. So if you need to pick up a weapon on the field or some arrows or talk to someone when you're walking around a settlement, that's the button you press. Uh, the start button is very similar to my select button. Um, Regular press is what it should be. Escape opens the menu. Double press is left control X, which is another cheat. And I have this so if you hold it, it's going to repeat a ton. So this comes in handy when you're upgrading character levels, people and you're upgrading your party members. If you need resource points, left control X is what you use for all of it. So it's just a handy little macro that you can use instead of, even on uh, keyboard, you'd have to press control X 1,000 times for some of these units to upgrade. So it comes in handy for when you have to do that. And then the long press removes the fog of war, which you really need for the last days of the Third Age, because you need to be able to see where all of the enemies are. If you get a quest for killing a band of trolls or Gundabad warriors or raiders, you need to see where they are on the map. And in the vanilla version without the cheats, you can't see very far, so it's almost impossible to complete some of the quests if you don't have the fog of war removed. And just be careful when you're removing the fog of war, because if you're not careful, it can crash your computer. So make sure you have the game optimized before you start doing that. All right, for the right bumper, we got zoom. So if you need to zoom in when you're shooting your bow, and that's also what you need to press if you want to heal your horse when you're doing the long click on the tab or on the select button. And then a double press will stop the time in battle if you need to take a breather and think about something. And then we're back to where we started. So then the funky thing with the mouse pad that I did because I needed to find a way to remove um, the 1, 2, 3, your custom battalion selections um, from the touch menu because I wanted it to be a lot simpler. And I don't know if I made it simpler for you. It's certainly simpler for me. But when I have my hand on the mouse button here on on the right trackpad, it enables the numpad layer and it changes Y, X, and B to archers, infantry, and cavalry. Um, so it is, it's pretty difficult with the Steam controller to be moving around with, the right trackpad there and press the face buttons. So it really makes you have to think about, what command you're going to do before you press it. And, I thought that worked much better than the other touch menu. So I could be, moving around still and still, tell my archers to do whatever. Um, so, you can take this and do whatever you want with it. The person that I base this layout from, the most popular one on Steam controller, you can easily find it if you don't like mine. Um, he had the gyro um, directional pad set for various other um, commands, which for me, I move around a lot when I'm gaming. I don't like to have that possibility of doing the turning the gyro on accident. Um, so that's just a quick look at um, the the Steam controller layout. Um, if you have any questions, get back to me on uh, in the comments or in the chat or in my Discord um, or PM me on Twitch. Um, More than happy to go over how you make these Steam controller layouts. It's since I've gotten the Steam controller, it's completely changed how I do everything. Um, so this is a fully working layout. It works absolutely beautifully. Um, so yeah, um, don't really think I need to show you guys anything more. I guess the only function that I don't think works is holding down F1 on when you're playing on your keyboard. You can hold down F1 and tell your troops where to go. Um, I don't think you have that functionality in this. If you wanted that functionality, it would be pretty simple to add here. I think what I would do is make the touch menu that won't work. Let me think here. Well, you could get rid of the first person view and change the right stick to that. You might be able to add a. Yeah, you could add a double click to the click action on the mouse, and that would do it. That's exactly. You know what? Let's add it on right now. I think that's a good addition. Regular press. And we want to change that to a double press. And we're going to make it F1. And we're not going to change any of that. Let's make the haptics medium. I like to know when these activators get activated. And we do need it to repeat. Maybe not. Well, let's get this in here and see if I need to have that on for it to work. Let's quick find an enemy to try this out on. Here we go. So here I'm gonna hold down the left bumper, the bottom button, and right click, and that's the travel cheat. So you can travel anywhere on the map and not waste any time. That's why I have, left control mapped into the bottom bumper there, because you just use it for so much. Left control space does something too. I can't remember exactly what it does, but let's see here. Yeah, left control space just quickly moves the time. So let's see if this new command works. Yes, it does. And you can move it around. Sweet. And now, because I didn't actually really want to fight these guys, we're just going to kill them all off. Oh, let me show you here. See, I got the archers. Here's how this all works. Oh. See, everything works as it should. So let's kill off everyone now. I'm done with this. And let's have infantry charge. Have anyone that's remaining. And the battle's won. So we press tab, which is select. So that's about the gist of the Steam controller layout. If you want to find it on the Steam Workshop when you're browsing configs, just look for my gamer tag 007MI6, and I believe it's just called TLD Warband. Yep. And yes, this is the one that I modded it from Matthew 295. So the original credit goes to him, but I definitely changed it up quite a bit. You need to have these. You need to have the cheats mapped to your controller for the last days of the Third Age. Yep, and what he did for the gyro, I remember, was horse rearing. So if you want to rear your horse, you can do it with the gyro. Just look at his. Well, let's take a look here. What did he do? Horse. is left control J. So add it in if you want it. I've never used it. But I mean, as you can see, I changed up pretty much everything. You know, the bumpers aren't the same. I guess you got the right button and left button, and the left and right trigger the same. But you know, I changed things quite a bit. So, and I mean, do you really need to have a button for quests? It's right down in the menu selection down at the bottom here. It's notes. So you really don't need a button for that. It's a waste of a button. And a face button. You're most